2024 is to repeal the National Population Council Act 2024 and to give effect to the government policy of nationalization of government agencies and public expenditure, and to enable the transfer of the functions of the National Population Council, the National Planning Authority, and to dissolve the National Population Council. The National Population Council Act 2014 provides for establishment, composition, functions, and administration of the National Council and its Secretariat. The main function of the Council is to formulate policies, to give strategic direction on the implication of the objectives of the National Population Policy. The National Population Council Act 2014 Repeal Bill 2024 seeks to repeal the National Population Council Act 2014 and effectively ensure that there is no duplication of roles by transferring the functions of the National Population Council established by the National Population Council Act 2014, Act 8 of the 2014, to the National Planning Authority established by Act 15 of 2002. Under Clause 6 of the bill, all the properties, assets, rights, obligations, liabilities of the National Population Council shall vest in the National Planning Authority. Proceedings commenced by or against the Council may be continued by or against the National Population Council. Effectively, the member and staff of the Council serving immediately before the commencement of the Act shall be paid their terminal benefits as per the terms and conditions of their service, and may be redeployed to serve in the public service subject to availability of positions. The committee's findings, observations, and recommendations. The National Population Council Act 2014 Repeal Bill 2024 seeks to transfer the functions of the National Population Council to the National Planning Authority. The National Population Council Act 2014 was enacted to provide for establishment, composition, functions, and administration of the National Population Council and its Secretariat, with the main function of the Council being to formulate policies, to give strategic direction on the implementation of the objectives of the National Population Policy. The Council shall, to the greatest extent possible, cooperate with the government, line ministries, local governments, institutions, and civil society organizations in carrying out its functions under this Act. The Council is to advise the President on population matters and promote and popularize the National Population Policy and set up a National Population Data Bank. The committee notes that whereas the 2018 National Population Policy takes into account the provisions of the National Population Council Act 2014, the Uganda vision of attaining upper middle income status by 2040, the national development plans and their the processes, as well as other relevant international development frameworks like the ICPD, the Sustainable Development Goals, Agenda 2030, ESC 2050, as well as the Africa We Want and Agenda 2063, among others. The National Planning Authority, whose primary function is to produce comprehensive and integrated development plans for the country, elaborated in terms of the perspective, vision, and the long-term and medium-term plans, is best suited to carry out the functions of the National Population Council. And furthermore, the committee noted that the 2018 National Population Policy recognizes that in addition to the framework, fundamentals like infrastructure, energy, information, and communications technology, Uganda needs to pay attention to its human capital development if it is going to benefit from its demographic dividend. Integrating population strategies with the National Planning Authority will enhance capability to address demographic issues directly through development policies. The committee therefore observed that the repeal of the National Population Council Act and the transferring of the functions performed by the Population Council to the National Planning Authority is in line with the rationalization policy and effectively relieves the government of the financial drain on its resources and the burden of wasteful administration and expenditure. The committee further observed that the outputs of the National Population Council will best be integrated in the plans of different sectors under the supervision of the National Planning Authority. The committee, however, noted that the bill does not provide for the commencement of the Act, and the absence of the commencement date means that the law will commence on publication, and yet the agency may need more time to adequately prepare for rationalization policy. Recommendation. The committee recommends that the National Population Council Act 2014, Repeal Bill 2024, be passed subject to the proposed amendment that will follow. I beg to submit.
Thank you so much. Can we have the other one also be moved so that we discuss all of the three at a go?
Bill second reading, the National Physical Planning Amendment Bill 2024.
Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the bill entitled the National Physical Planning Amendment Bill 2024 be read the second time. I beg to move.
Thank you. Seconded. Seconded by Faith Achayo, Honorable Nzima, Honorable Apache, Queen, Kalaki, Kumi, Christine, Honorable Nandutu, Honorable Layo, Katenya, Council, Kahonda, Honorable Kahonda, Moses, thank you, and elders, thank you. Can you speak to it?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, the objective of this amendment is to give effect to the national policy of rationalization of government agencies and public expenditure, and also to enable the transfer of functions of National Physical Planning Board to the National Planning Authority established by the National Planning Authority Act 2002, and also to abolish the National Physical Planning Board. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Chair. Can you summarize?
Right Honorable Speaker, the committee, as earlier said, recommends the National Planning Council be absorbed as suggested and rationalized to the National Planning Authority with all the advantages that we see in integrated planning of the National Planning Authority.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, you've heard honorably.
Madam Speaker, when the committee was making consideration of this matter, I appeared before them and I raised the issues which I'd wanted answers to, and it seems those issues have not been substantially addressed. One of the issues I raised was that the structure the current structure of the National Planning Authority cannot allow this board to fit in. And we would have needed assurance from the movers of this bill that the current structure, if this board goes to the planning authority, will be a structure which has been approved by the public service, and that means the financial certificate which is the minister was asked to bring would align to the structure. So in the event that is not proved, it would be important the House is addressed on that. Secondly, Madam Structure, the National Planning Authority, sorry, no, excuse me, Madam Speaker, the National Planning Authority is responsible for economic planning, and physical planning is a function to do with the land use planning, which is anchored on the Land Act and the land policy. And no, we talked about physical planning board. Yeah. No, we finished population. He came on physical planning, and that's what I'm rising on. Yes, you came on the need to dissolve the National Physical Planning Board and move its functions to the planning authority. I think I'm proceeding well. Yes. Madam Speaker, you need to protect me because it seems the matters I'm raising cannot be...
Honorable, you know you're a single what? Minority holder.
Yes.
Honorable Lee, we've discussed that. We only have one item that we need to resolve, as it was raised by the Shadow Minister of Constitutional, and that is under Section 76 of the Financial Management Act 2015, which stipulates the cost estimates of the bill. It requires the Minister of Finance to accompany the bill with a certificate indicating the estimates of revenue and expenditure of a period of 2 years after coming into effect of the bill. The period, the previous three bills have some little details which are lacking regarding the certificate of financial implication as per Section 76 of the Public Finance Management Act. I will therefore request the technical team and the minister that as we stand over the three, as we wait for you to bring the three certificates, we'll give you a special consideration when you return in the next 1 hour to reintroduce your bills and then go to the question direct. So I am requesting that you go and bring the certificates as we continue with the other bills. Then we'll introduce and pass it without going to the committee.
Must obey what
Can we go to the next bill? Next bill, the Tier 4. I'm waiting for your certificates.
Bill second reading. The Tier 4 Microfinance Institutions and Moneylenders Amendment Bill 2024.
My brother, Dr. Mona, you're most welcome. And congratulations. Tier 4,
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Tier 4 Microfinance Institutions and Moneylenders Amendment Bill 2024 be read the second time. I beg to move.
Seconded. Seconded by Minister of Energy, Honorable Nandutu, Honorable Lanyo, Solomon, Katenya, Atiang, Esther, all of you. Thank you. Would you love to speak to it? And then you give us a brief summary of the Tier 4, Honorable Chair.
Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, the Tier 4 Microfinance Institutions and Moneylenders Bill 2024 seeks to amend the Tier 4 Microfinance Institutions and Moneylenders Act 2016 to dissolve the Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority established under Section 6 and to mainstream the functions of the Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority into the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to give effect to the government policy on rationalization of government agencies and public expenditure. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you, Chair.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, under this bill, I received notification for a dissenting opinion on the matter of Tier 4 Microfinance Money Lenders Amendment Bill. We've had a discussion with the dissenting opinion owners, and I hereby lay. But let me go ahead and read the report. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, as earlier said, this bill was passed on to the committee, and the committee attended to it and hereby reports. The objective of rationalization policy of government was earlier said, but the object of the Tier 4 Microfinance Institutions and Moneylenders Amendment Bill 2024 is as follows: to dissolve the Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority and establish Section 6, and to mainstream the functions of the Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority into the ministry responsible for finance, to give effect to the government policy on rationalization of government policy and public expenditure, government agencies and public expenditure, beg your pardon. The Tier 4 Microfinance Institutions and Moneylenders Act 2016 establishes the Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority and provides for the licensing and management of Tier 4 microfinance institutions, the management and control of the money lending businesses, establishes a SACCO stabilization fund and a SACCO saving protection scheme, provides for central financing facility, provides for licensing of money lenders, provides for self-help groups and commodity microfinancing and relationship and liquidation of Tier 4 microfinance institutions. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, the committee's findings and observations as follows. A certificate of financial implication for the Tier 4 Microfinance Institution Moneylenders Amendment Bill 24 was tendered and was laid on table. Revenue and expenditure. Section 76 of the PFMA on cost estimates of the bills provides as follows: that every bill provided in Parliament shall be accompanied by a certificate of financial implication issued by the Minister, which was done. The certificate of financial implication issued under subsection 1 shall indicate the estimates of revenue and expenditure over the period of not less than 2 years after the coming into effect of the bill when passed. In addition to the requirements under subsection 2, the certificate of financial implication shall indicate the impact of the bill on the economy. The committee observed that UMRA generates non-tax revenue from its regulatory functions that include annual license fees, application fees, search fees, alteration fees. UMRA makes the assessment for Tier 4 microfinance institutions and money lenders, who then pay the respective NTR to URA for services of UMRA as provided for in the law. The certificate of financial implication as laid does not illustrate any additional anticipated revenue to be generated by the ministry after mainstreaming the functions of UMRA. The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development anticipates the direct cost of the bill to be Uganda shillings 1.896 billion, meant to cater for retrenchment costs and severance package for the 25 staff, and will not be absorbed in the rationalization structure. In the rationalized structure, I beg your pardon. However, the committee observed that the Ministry of Finance failed to illustrate the revenue and expenditure associated with the bill when passed as required by law. The committee further observed that whereas the Ministry of Finance proceeded with the rationalization policy on the basis that all the contracts of the staff would expire at the end of June 2024, the committee established that all employment contracts for the staff of UMRA are still running until 2027 and 2029 for the executive director. The committee further observed the provision of 1.896 billion to cater for retrenchment costs and the severance package for the staff provided in the certificate of financial implication is significantly lower than the expected aggregated wage for all the staff of UMRA whose contracts are running for at least 3 to 5 years more, 5 more years from 2024. On the basis of the annual wage bill of UMRA for financial year 2023-24 of 2.17 billion, the provision of 1.896 in the certificate of financial implication does not reflect the true liability of government in terms of retrenchment costs and severance package for the staff with active employment contracts. It is further the observation of the committee that the certificate of financial implication as laid did not provide sufficient information on the current resource on UMRA, which shall be moved from vote 162 to vote 008, where the functions of the regulation of the sector is being mainstreamed. The details of the certificate should have included the new wage and the operational funds that the new unit or department in the ministry responsible for regulation would require. Expected savings to government. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, the Ministry of Finance envisaged the bill to result in two savings of 6.7 billion to government through reduction in administrative and personal-related costs following its implementation as shown on the diagram below. The Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority's total budget, according to estimates laid in Parliament, is projected to be Uganda shillings 12.6 billion in financial year 2024-25. However, the proposed allocation in the Appropriation Bill 2024 indicates that UMRA's budget will decline to 7.6 billion. The committee notes that the current wage bill for the in-post personnel employed by UMRA is 2.17 billion. The certificate of financial implication indicates a saving on wage of 2.17 billion. If this was the correct figure, it would imply that all the current employees of UMRA would have their employment terminated, and the current staff of the ministry would undertake the scheme of the work of UMRA, as per the figures explained above. The committee observed that the Ministry of Finance does not provide the details of the actual expenditure lines where the anticipated savings are expected. Therefore, the committee compared the provisions of the total expected savings in the certificate of financial implication of 6.7 and the total budget of UMRA in Appropriation Bill 2024 being 7.6, it has established, therefore, that if the 6.7 billion was the correct figure as reported, the mainstreamed budget for both wage and non-wage would only be the saving of 900 million. The 900 million would probably not be sufficient to cover the wages of the skeleton staff structure without any operational funds to regulate the entire industry. The committee observed that whereas the object of the bill is to, among others, rationalize agencies, stroke authorities, and public expenditure, thereby relieving government of the financial drain on its resources and the burden of wasteful administration and expenditure in the case of UMRA, it has enabled government to collect. In the case of UMRA, it has enabled government to collect tax revenue as indicated in the table below. Right Honorable Speaker, since UMRA established the total revenue collection from UMRA's licenses for 5 financial years amounts to 386 million, I beg your pardon, 386 billion, 347 million, 700.
Honorable Chair, can you summarize? Go to conclusion.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
You just go to conclusion.
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, I would like to make the following conclusions on behalf of the committee. The committee, having interacted with the different stakeholders and analyzed relevant documents in line with the proposed amendments to the Tier 4 Microfinance Institutions and Money Lenders Act 2016, and also aware of the government policy for rationalization of these agencies and the respective objectives of RAPEX, recommends that the Tier 4 Microfinance Institutions and Money Lenders Act be rejected. Additionally, Right Honorable Speaker, in summary, the committee recommends that UMRA be sufficiently supported to undertake the following. 1. Management of interest rates. UMRA should be strengthened to enforce compliance, increase awareness, mitigate problems and information asymmetry as alternative to capping interest rates. Monitor interest rates under the sector by creating an online loan platform for all regulated institutions. This would enable borrowers to make informed choices where and when to borrow, thus reducing information asymmetry. Number 2, Right Honorable Speaker, implementation of the credit information sharing mechanism. UMRA should establish a national database for credit history in the sector to create credit reporting as a collateral similar to the Credit Reference Bureau for understanding while mitigating for the underserved while mitigating credit risk for Tier 4 institutions and money lenders in order to operationalize the Section 8, subsection 2L of the Tier 4 Microfinance Institutions and Money Lenders. 3. Digital transformation of the Tier 4 sector through automation, automated licensing and regulatory reporting. This will enable monitoring the revenue and actual remittances to URA, which would increase government revenue collections. Currently, it remains a challenge to aggregate all the revenues from the sector, save for the non-tax revenues. 4. Issuance of digital lending guidelines to monitor and supervise digital lenders. This is a tool for curbing anti-money laundering. This is a collaboration with development partners like UNCDF, Association for FinTech, and other sector actors. Financial literacy and awareness is another important aspect. As part of its work plan, UMRA should enhance financial literacy and awareness campaigns to create public awareness in the financial sector, addressing complaints thereof, engaging members of the public on their rights as consumers of the financial products, builds in the markets, which builds confidence in the market, which is a key ingredient to financial inclusion. And finally, Right Honorable Speaker, the UMRA should expand its footprint. UMRA, as an independent regulator, should be easily accessed by both licensees and members of the borrowing public. This will enhance effective service delivery. I hereby submit.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. And as you've heard about UBRA, the committee is against it. It is a regulator. It regulates the microfinance system 4. And I think we're in agreement with the minister in charge of RAPEX. Minister, would you want to say something? Still on the same? From who? Honorable Faith.
Right Honorable
Faith.
Speaker.
Faith. First, so you're in agreement with the rationalizing UBRA as a regulator?
Madam Speaker.
Why don't we hear from the minister first? He has something.
The minority report is a 7-member minority report.
You table the minority report and we first hear.
It's not mine alone.
You table it.
The minority report was tabled by the chair, but it has not been read. Right Honorable Speaker, let me read the minority report as allowed by the rules. Madam Speaker.
Honorable Faith,
Yes,
just go straight to your point of departure.
correct. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for the opportunity. The areas of dissent are few. One of them, on the performance of Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority over the last 5 years. Right Honorable Speaker, while the 10th Parliament envisioned that UMRA would help provide for the licensing of Tier 4 actors, management and control of money lending business, establishing a SACCO protection fund and a SACCO saving protection scheme, it is worth noting that for the last 5 years, UMRA has not delivered on its mandate with the exception of issuing licenses to money lenders, a duty that can effectively be handled by any government department. UMRA has been concentrating on registration of people or firms interested in the money lending business and has made this its core mandate, yet it is only a process to the core mandate of regulation. UMRA has not demonstrated even the willingness to handle the other regulatory core mandates of financial stability and consumer protection. While UMRA slept on the job, the money lenders enjoyed a field day running the industry on their own to the extent of making citizens sign sale agreements of property in the guise of a lending agreement. Therefore, taking advantage of the illiteracy and vulnerability of our people, Parliament of Uganda exists to protect the citizens, and we are glad this amendment has come. The rosy picture highlighted by the majority opinion has come at a cost of life and property of some Ugandans who have lost all their assets to the moneylenders. Right Honorable Speaker, UMRA has continued to provide a perfect cushion for moneylenders to defraud unsuspecting Ugandans. What is Uganda shillings 330 billion revenue compared to millions of Ugandans who have degenerated into poverty? What is the revenue that comes at the cost of blood of Ugandans who succumbed to depression, having been tortured by moneylenders? Therefore, leaving the status quo is collusion to loot poor Ugandans. Number 2, on the dissenting view, the regulatory function, Right Honorable. You are aware, you are alive to the fact that a number of members have submitted to this House matters of national importance concerning money lenders who storm lower local governments and defraud our people, including taking national IDs. For instance, Right Honorable Speaker, in this House last year, the Honorable Kibalia Henry Morris, the MP for Bugabula South in Kamuli District, he submitted to this House a report on the dubious acts of money lenders in his constituency. While these issues have been raised in the House, the supposed regulator went silent as the loot continued. Additionally, Right Honorable, while UMRA was also intended to support SACCOs, the Ugandan SACCOs have been on their own. If it wasn't for the work of commercial officers in local governments, the SACCOs would have fallen in the temptation to defraud Ugandans as well. There is no sign that UMRA, in its current state, will rise up to the task and be effective and efficient. For instance, one doesn't need money to issue a statement to the public, and so the excuse of limited funding as a justification for inaction cannot suffice. Number 3, on lending rates. While Section 90 of Tier 4 Microfinance Institutions and Moneylenders Act 2016 stipulates that the minister, with guidance by UMRA, shall set the guidelines for lending rates. UMRA has continuously advised to the contrary and has therefore made it impossible for lending rates to be regulated. As a result, some lenders charge up to 30% per month. This is 360% per annum, the highest in the world. And the exploitation must stop, Madam Speaker. The majority opinion recognizes this anomaly, but was shy to give a befitting recommendation. Number 4, on the administrative processes of rationalization. Right Honorable Speaker, the majority opinion has pitched justification on the cost and process of administering rationalization, rather than the efficiency in the outputs expected of a regulator. Therefore, in our opinion, this parliament should not be burdened by the administrative processes of rationalization. For example, settlement of staff obligation, the cost of deployment, as this is a role the executive can execute effectively. To assume that the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development cannot handle these administrative processes is to undermine the basic capacity of any government ministry in Uganda. Finally, Right Honorable, number 5, rationalization of a supposed regulator. While it might look unthinkable, rationalizing a regulator, however, over the years and prior to 2016, all ministries that had a regulatory function did have departments in charge of regulation. For instance, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development has continued to effectively regulate the mining sector, a sector more highly rated in terms of net value than even micro-lending sector. This is evidence that a government ministry can carry out this function with ease without the excessive expenditure. Right Honorable, 2 recommendations only from us. Number 1, that UMRA be mainstreamed into the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. Number 2, that Section 90 of the Principal Act be amended by replacing the minister regulating the maximum interest rate with the interest rate to be charged by a moneylender shall not exceed 8% per month, equivalent to 96% per annum as a maximum, because it has been clearly demonstrated that this sector cannot be regulated by anyone. So the law must be put to use. Conclusively, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members of Parliament, the rationalization plan is meant to improve efficiency, eliminate duplication, and enhance cost saving on government. The opportunity has come for us not only to achieve these rationalization objectives, but also to sanitize the microfinance lending sector by giving justice to all our people who have suffered victimization and impoverishment by the rogue money lenders. Rationalizing UMRA and setting the limit for lending rates is a perfect gift that this 11th Parliament will give the Wananchi, the citizens of Uganda, whose property has been seized by money lenders. It offers a perfect tribute to the citizens who have succumbed to depression by taking their own lives, who have been shot at because of the money lending business that is not properly regulated. It is tribute to the Mwindi who died nearby here, who was shot at by a borrower. It is tribute to all those people in different categories who have succumbed to this dubious deal. Therefore, I pray, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, that this report meets your favor. 7 members signed this report, and I want to read their names. Nakut Faith, Karim Masaba, Mbabazi Jennifer, Katalin Loy,
First of all,
Nabukera
Karim
Anifa,
Masawa is not a member of...
Wanda Richard,
Listen.
Tayeba Abat.
Karim is not a member of finance.
That's okay. Then we have 7 members. If Karim withdraws his signature, we have 6 members who have signed. And I beg to submit, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, we are talking about OBRA, who is the regulator, and we are saying we want to take OBRA to finance. We will not have a regulator. We will have a policy maker. Together we'll implement in one institution. That will be finance. That will be finance. And that will mean we have no firm regulatory environment in OBRA. Members, just a minute. Let me hear from the chairman.
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, you know, you requested me to summarize, and I want to...
And I know why I requested you to summarize.
But I wanted to make this one vital point, that the committee observed the structural challenges within the ministry and the Ministry of Finance. The committee observes that previously the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development was not able to support the growth of SACCOs through a project called Project for Financial Inclusion in Rural Areas, Profila. And all previous specialized functions in the ministry have been delivered in project mode instead of a mainstream departmental mode. Profila was not able to sufficiently support SACCOs and the village SACCOs groups. Honorable members, the honorable colleagues' minority report insinuates that when they go into the mainstream, the ministry, then our SACCOs and money lenders will be regulated. I think that would be a mistake. I have also noted, Right Honorable Speaker, that
honorable members, listen.
Interest rates, whereas Uganda operates a liberal economy, and where the private sector makes decisions based on forces of demand and supply, and whereas for long the cost of borrowing has been generally recognized as being a so high from the categories of financial institutions, the interest rate charged by SACCOs, microfinance institutions, money lenders, makes it extremely hard for most borrowers to pay back loans, resulting into foreclosure. This has stifled businesses, since most of the business capital and income is dedicated to and drained by the debt servicing. Now, the committee established that the Uganda Central Bank, that whereas the average lending rate of commercial banks is 18.3%. Typical circles lend at least at 3% per month or 36 per annum. Money lenders on average lend at 10% per month and 120 per annum. Now, therefore, despite Uganda's running a liberalized economy, the gap between the lenders' lending rate of the commercial banks, which is 18.3, and money lenders' annual lending rate 120, is the reason Parliament passed Section 90 of the Tier 4 microfinance institutions, and I want to underline that, is the reason why Parliament passed Section 90 of the Tier 4 microfinance institutions and money lenders Act for the minister to at least provide some level of control that leaves both the borrowers and lenders better off economically. It is not the UMRA.
Thank you. Honorable members, it is this same house that asked for regulations under Section 90 of the Tier 4. We, Honorable Minister, we want the regulations of under Section 90 of Tier 4 that will be able to determine how much money lenders will charge. You cannot have money lenders charge 30-50%. And based on that, Honorable Minister, what this House needs is not a rationalization, we need regulations. I want regulations, not this rationalization.
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I have listened very carefully to both reports, the report of the committee, the main report, and the minority report from the committee. I have also listened to your wise counsel regarding the duty of the minister to provide regulations and guidance to this Tier 4 microfinance institution. We are also basing on what is prevailing and some earlier precedent in institutions which are of regulatory nature. You know, like the ERA, Electricity Regulatory Authority. We have now URBRA, it's a regulatory body, and many other regulatory institutions. They exist and they have their autonomy. I would like, therefore, to say that as someone who was in the thick of this exercise of rationalization, and indeed, I'm very glad these days I've got an additional name called RAPEX. The other time I was called NAMCASA. This is just a divergence, but we have been very busy, and I think it's necessary for us to put on a smile when we are discussing some of these important things. However, I would like to say, having been in the thick of it, that I would like to support the majority report, and we actually, not minority, majority report, and we put this matter to a close. Thank you.
Honorable members, Madam, hey, Madam, honorable members, the minister is withdrawing his bill. He is the sponsor of the bill. And the honorable minister, you've done a good job to withdraw your bill. And I put a question, those in support of withdrawal of the bill, say at the contrary. The ayes have it, the bill stands withdrawn. The bill stands withdrawn. What we want, honorable members sit. Honorable members sit. Nabo sit. What we need, Honorable Minister, this house needs regulations. We cannot have moneylenders lend to a tune of 50%. Let's have regulations brought to this house on the issues of money lending under Tier 4, that is Section 90.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable.
Procedure, Madam Speaker.
Right Honorable.
First wait. Honorable members, first
Right
wait.
Honorable Speaker,
First wait.
now that the sponsor of the bill has withdrawn it,
Procedure, Madam Speaker.
I undertake
Procedure.
and commit to
Why don't you listen to?
work on the regulations, Right Honorable Speaker, and to work on the actual.
So, Honorable Kasolo, now that you are the sponsor of the bill, you say, I now formally withdraw the bill as, yes.
Right Honorable Speaker,
Under Rule 140, you formally withdraw the
under
bill.
Rule 140 of the Rules of Procedure, I formally withdraw the bill. The Tier 4 Microfinance Institutions and Moneylenders Amendment Bill 2024. Thank you, Right Honorable.
Those in favor of withdrawal of the bill, say under control, nay. The ayes have it. The bill stands withdrawn. The bill stands withdrawn. Can we have the regulations in the 2 weeks' time?
That's what I want to. Even 1 week.
2 weeks' time. 1 week we shall be on. Just.
Directed earlier.
Right
Honorable members, I don't know even you
Right
lied,
Honorable Speaker,
you lied to the president. You went into a meeting. You said you were going to bring regulations. Up to today, they were in a caucus.
Right Honorable Speaker, within 2 weeks, we shall have brought the regulations to this house.
2 weeks,
2 weeks
the
time.
regulations
2 weeks
should
time,
be
yes.
here.
No, but even
Honorable members, we are going to look at UNRWA.
Bills.
Madam Speaker.
Bill second reading. The Uganda National Roads Authority Repeal Bill 2024.
Honorable members, we are looking at
Bill second reading. The Uganda National Roads Authority Repeal Bill 2024.
I don't see the minister. The minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, we have a very brief report from, then we can break off for lunch. A very brief report from UNRWA. The minister will get when we are ready. Hmm? A government chief whip who is moving on behalf of, infrastructure. Rapex.
Right Honorable Speaker, there is a minister in charge of rationalization. True. So the minister in charge of rationalization must take charge of his bills. Why are you shying away? Bill second reading.
Honorable members,
Bill second reading, the Non-Performing Assets Recovery Trust Amendment Bill 2024.
honorable members, why are you not moving UNRWA? Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the bill entitled Non-Performing Assets Recovery Trust Amendment Bill 2024 be read for the second time.
Seconded. Is seconded. Seconded by Wanda, by Government Chief Whip, by Honorable Lwelo, Honorable Yusuf, Honorable Avuru, Noelin, Namuju, Sise, Oima, Education, Kivalia, Margaret, Mamawi, Edakasi, Flora, Shema, Elders, Wilson, Wanda, Aro, Otto, Zombo, Olanya. Yes. I think you just don't like Kivalia.
Right, Honorable Speaker. In the position that the colleague is in, you can't ideally define whether he's standing, whether he's squatting, whether he's at the verge of setting off. So we need to know whether he was in supportive of the
Order.
bill.
There's an order for you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, is it in order for a Honorable to define my position of standing or sitting as if he grew up with me to know when I'm standing I look like this and when I'm seated I resemble nothing? Is it in order, Right Honorable?
It's not yet 45. Yes, Chair. Chair.
Right Honorable Speaker, I hereby tender in the original report, hereby lay. In the interest of summary, maybe as a reminder, there's no minority on this report.
Nakutu. Okay.
The object of the bill. The object of the Non-Performing Assets Recovery Trust Act of Repeal, Bill 2024, is to dissolve the trust, the Board of Trustees, and the Sink Fund, to mainstream the functions of the Non-Performing Assets Recovery Trust into the ministry responsible for non-performing assets in order to give effect to the government policy on rationalization of government agencies and public expenditure, and for the related purpose. The Non-Performing Assets Recovery Trust Act CAP 95 commenced in 1994. The Act established a Non-Performing Assets Recovery Trust and an expeditious machinery for the eventual recovery of the certain loans and investments made by Uganda Commercial Bank, whose recovery was overdue. The trust. The Act established a trust whose objectives are: 1, to hold for and on behalf of the Republic of Uganda any non-performing assets of the Uganda Commercial Bank which have been transferred to the trust under Section 9. B, to take such actions as may be necessary to recover all the amounts outstanding in respect for all transferred non-performing assets. C, to establish, administer, and manage a sinking fund into which shall be deposited all recoveries for the non-performing assets for redemption of the bonds subject to Section 8. And D, to make good the debt owing to loans received under the Rural Farmers Scheme, USAID/RPE, and to recommend and take corrective measures so that the Farmers Loans Scheme can benefit the farmers. To perform any other function conferred on the trust under this Act, and to perform such other function as is reasonably related or incidental to the foregoing objectives. The observations and recommendations of the committee. The NPAT Act, CAP 95, established a non-performing assets recovery trust as an expeditious machinery for the eventual recovery of the certain loans and investments made by the Uganda Commercial Bank, whose recovery was overdue at the time in 1994. The trust was mandated to: 1, hold for and on behalf of Uganda any non-performing assets of the Uganda Commercial Bank, and 2, to take such actions as may be necessary to recover all amounts outstanding in respect of all transferred non-performing assets, to establish, administer, and manage a sinking fund into which was deposited all recoveries from the non-performing assets for redemption of bonds, to also examine the circumstances leading to the farmer's default in making good the debt owing to loans received under the Rural Farmers Scheme, and to recommend and take corrective measures so that the Farmers Loan Scheme can benefit the farmers. The Board of Trustees of the Trust is comprised of a chairperson and between 4 and 6 members, all appointed by the Minister. The Act also established an office of an administrator of the Trust appointed by the Board and made room for appointment for other staff and consultants. The sinking fund. The Act established a sinking fund into which is paid all monies provided to the Trust by the government or derived by the Trust from any other source. Accordingly, any money which is required by the Trust is paid from the sinking fund. The Tribunal. The Act also set up a non-performing assets recovery trust tribunal comprised of a chairperson and 3 other members appointed by the Minister. Under Section 9 of the Non-Performing Assets Act, CAP 95, all assets, rights, liabilities, and obligations attached to the non-performing assets transferred by the bank to the trust under this section, which immediately before the date of transfer were held by or subsisted against the bank, shall, subject to any directions given by the Minister in writing, vest in or, as the case may be, subsist against the trust. The committee is alive to the fact that rationalization policy that the government seeks to implement through this bill is intended to relieve government of the financial drain on which resources and the burden of wasteful administration, like Arya said, I beg that I move on to recommendations. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, the committee hereby recommends that the bill be rejected. I hereby submit.
Thank you. Yes.
Madam Speaker, I rise to support the recommendation of the committee. One of my grounds is that the assets and account of this trust has not been audited. Someone is just rushing and wants to, if I can use this word, steal from Ugandans by not allowing audit before this rationalization. So the recommendation of the committee allows government to move into examining what is the balance of the sinking fund. What are the non-performing assets that trust is holding? Not until these questions are answered, I think it's premature that we move to dissolve this board. I therefore implore members, if you really care about this country and the resources which should have helped us narrow the physical gap the country is facing, we must allow an audit into this non-performing assets trust fund account before we rationalize. Otherwise, someone is going to hide under this and we will never get to know where those resources are. I thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I agree with the honorable colleague and what he has submitted. And some of the points he's made, which are very pertinent, I could have lost them in the process of summarizing, but I agree with his opinion.
So that is also consequential to departed custodian. I was just reading your mind that if you're saying this one should, so should, yes. So even the departed is the same. Honorable members, you've heard the position of the committee. Finance? 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 Finance, what the committee is saying, that I hope you've understood what the committee has said. Okay, what is your position? Oh, I put a question.
Right Honorable Speaker, now that the committee is giving reasons to do with the auditing,
Yes.
I propose that you give us time. We first audit, because that is the reason they are giving. We first audit and then come back. I'm not withdrawing the bill, so I'm asking for time
No,
to
but
go.
you can't leave a bill pending. You can't leave.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is a law. And since the law has been processed and brought before Parliament, it would only be prudent for the minister to withdraw this bill until such a time that an audit has been thoroughly done, both for these non-performing and departed Asians. Because we don't know how much property is lying all over the country. And you are here bringing before us to rationalize before we know what is in the books or how much inventory is there. So I would implore him that the bill not be deferred but be withdrawn until such a time that this exercise has been fully conducted. I thank you.
Further information from Jan.
The information I supplement to her submission, it is true that Honorable Kasolo hates the withdrawal method. But in this particular instance, it's the best approach.
Meaning you'll have two bills to withdraw. Eh? You'll have to withdraw the departed Asians and non-performing assets. But you first move the departed and then withdraw.
Right Honorable Speaker, I move under Rule 140 of the Rules of Procedure to formally withdraw the bill.
For the House to grant you permission.
Yeah, the bill entitled Non-Performing Assets Recovery Trust Repeal Bill 2024, and I seek permission from this House to go and organize the auditing.
Is it seconded? Seconded by Honorable Doro, Nabos, by Government Chief Whip, by Chairperson, by Loy, by John Faith. Honorable members, those in favor of withdrawal say under contrary aye. The bill, the ayes have it. The bill is formally withdrawn, and we want to give you a timeline for auditing of these accounts. How much time do you need?
Right Honorable Speaker, I'm asking for 1 year. To conduct the thorough audit, and then I will report back to Parliament. Because you see, assets are not within Kampala, they are all over, so I need time.
So, honorable members, the member is being realistic. The minister is being realistic. Even that 1 year, you will not get it. Honorable member, you've been given 1 year to go and give us a thorough report. Next, departed.
Right Honorable Speaker, in the same spirit, I move under Rule 140 of our Rules of Procedure to formally withdraw that the House grants me permission to withdraw formally the bill entitled The Assets of Departed Asians Amendment Bill 2024. I beg to move.
Seconded by Lee, Esther, by Kiza Acrobat, John Faith, Amoti, Alihaj,
Right Honorable. Right Honorable, as they withdraw.
Hoima, Dr. Rionga, Noelin, Stephen. Honorable members, Gweri, Ochan, Legal. Honorable members, I put a question that those in favor of withdrawal of this bill say and the contrary nay. Now, honorable members, you need to understand why these bills are being withdrawn. It is the same explanation that has been given by the chairperson. You cannot start transferring. The ayes have it. that the assets of departed. Why don't you say assets and liabilities? Assets and liabilities. Whom are you giving the liabilities? So the bill stands withdrawn. Thank you.
Bill second reading.
On what has been ruled on? On what? How much time? Bring a substantive motion. How much time do you want for this one? This
President,
one is Isha.
We can still work within 1 year.
Remember, there is also a report from COSASE. I want you to look at the report on departed Asian Custodian Board. Yes, Chair.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate you and the honorable colleagues, the entire House, for supporting the committee on this position. I would like to request, we have very good recommendations, but you can see in summary, the bills have been withdrawn. Would like to request that you direct them to work with the committee to make sure these recommendations are observed. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. You've heard it. Next.
Bill second reading. The Uganda National Roads Authority Repeal Bill 2024.
Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Uganda National Roads Authority Act Repeal Bill 2024 be read for the second time.
Seconded. Is the bill seconded? Seconded by Deputy Attorney General, by Finance Chair, Honorable Elelo, Olobo, Solomoni, Nakasongola, Wakas, Gabrieli, Aru, Faith, Xavier, Hoima, Kahonda, Amot, John Faith, by the majority. Honorable Elwelu, by Minister of Karamoja, Minister of Bunyoro. Yes, would you love to speak to your motion? Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and members, allow me to make a preamble which will lead to the justification of this bill. Right Honorable Speaker, with my 40 years of military service, it's not possible that I've not learned anything, especially in the areas of leadership and management. And I wish to share a few of that as we address the matter before us. Right Honorable Speaker, in the military we have principles of war, which are very nice principles, but there are also principles of main administration. These principles apply across board. You can even use these principles in your own business. And I would want to share these principles which talk to the rationalization. Right Honorable